I love witchy books. So the book we're going to talk about today is, I guess it's kind of like a historical horror fiction book, if I were to categorize it. And that is the Book of Witching by C.J. Cooke. And there is a note in the beginning, and this is kind of where the story came from and is based off. It's based off of an actual person that existed, and it was in 1594. A woman was accused of assisting a man in his plot to kill his brother. The man was acquitted. The woman was executed at Gallow Hain in Kirkwall, Orkney, and her name was Alison Balfour. She was the first of over 70 women to be executed in Orkney on charges of witchcraft. This book, it follows the story of this girl, Erin. Her and her friends, Arlo and Senna, they go over to this island off the Orkney Islands called Isle of Gun. Something goes terribly wrong where Aaron's boyfriend ends up dead, Senna has disappeared, and then Aaron has suffered these horrible burns. And so her mom gets a call one day that her daughter is in the hospital and she has severe burns on her arms and legs. And so she rushes to the hospital, and when her daughter wakes up, she says her name is Nyx and is like, who the heck is Aaron? And she's getting really mad. She doesn't seem to care about like her friends that went missing, this, that, and the other. And they think, oh, well, maybe she's suppressing all of this with what happened was super traumatic, this, that, and the other. At some point, the mom is like, I need to go to this island to see what's going on. And so what happens in the story is you have like these flashbacks between the present time now and then also in 1594. In 1594 with the story of this woman, Alison Balfour, and what happened with her, and that she was part of this group called the Triskele. And the Triskele, they were magic workers. You might call them witches. And she was part of that, but didn't want to be. And what happened in the story was she was approached by these like, men higher up in society, and the one guy wanted to kill his brother and wanted her to make a charm for it, and she kind of refused to do it. And then they came after her anyways, like to make an example and whatnot, because there were these horrible men in charge that were just greedy and wanted to take over all the lands and destroy everything. You have that, and then, she ends up taking all the blame. And then this Nyx person is somehow tied into this Alison Balfour and this family and the Triskele. And it's so you flash between both times trying to like make the connection of what happened with the daughter, because the daughter started digging into like her history and her roots, and this Triskele sect of people may have joined the Triskele, and then her and her friends maybe did like this crazy ritual in this cave that went wrong, and that's why the boyfriend died and all this stuff. And like you get into this all this weird stuff. And then the girl too, Erin, the one who has the burns, she also has a daughter that the mom's taking care of. And then you have the other families too, like the one mom whose daughter's still missing. Like they don't know what happened to her and what's going on. And as you get deeper into it, you see how it ties into this other story from back in 1594 when, the witch hunts started to happen, and how it had affected all the people of land, and how people get so like caught up in this hysteria with like pointing fingers and to blame. And it's like the thing like about it too is like it made me really anxious reading this book, but also just how it's all these like religious like priests and whatnot. They claim religion and like of God and like point fingers and see the devil everywhere. Oh, this woman was Satan's messenger, this, that, and the other. And, when really it's them. They're the evil ones. And it's effed up to me. Like, I know this is like a fictional account, but like this is stuff that's actually happened historically. So if these priests really believed in God and that God will punish you for doing evil, they would not be pointing fingers like this. Most of it's for money and power, and it's so effed up and evil. And you see a lot of that in religion today. Like, look at these mega churches. Like, I swear to God, Joel Osteen's an effing demon, like a literal effing demon. Gross. Mega churches are gross. His house, all that money. Like, if you really believed in the teachings of God and Jesus, like, you're not hoarding wealth. You're lifting up others and helping the poor. You don't have 20 cars and whatnot. Anyways, I'm getting off the rails here. Anyway, So this book tells the story of this woman. And then too, like these priests, they were like, will you confess? And they would use torture elements, then they would torture her family, and then they're going after her kids. And it's like, all for confession is like, well, no one wants their effing 6-year-old daughter to die, so of course they're gonna confess and lie. Like, that's just evil. It's a crazy story. It's really intense. It's really emotional. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Really well done. If you like stories about witches that have like an actual historical tie-in to it, this book was absolutely fantastic. I get really angry with like religious stories because as someone who grew up in that, like I grew up in, I went to Christian schools for most of my life, and you see all the lies these religious people use to manipulate and just do awful things. So it's such a huge turnoff. If you're a fan of witchy books, next video coming up will be about another witchy book. So stick around, check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.